Hi, it's Damon here from Fender, here today to go through the new Fender G-DEC 3 amplifiers. This is Fender's brand new upgraded version of the G-DEC with many more features than the original version, much better amp modelling, and comes with 100 onboard presets, which now are MP3 and WAV files in many different styles. So you've got everything you need in one box to practice along with, to play, to make you a better guitar player. So the amp comes in a 15 watt and a 30 watt version. This is the 15 here with a single 8-inch speaker, whereas the 30 has a 10-inch speaker and a tweeter. The 30 also has 1/4-inch stereo outputs, whereas the 15 only has a stereo mini jack out. So we have an onboard tuner, we have 100 presets in all kinds of different styles: rock, funk, metal, jazz, country. We also have looping, okay, on both of the models. We have 35 seconds high res and about 2.5 minutes low res. So I guess the best thing to do would be to have a little listen to it, have a listen to some of the presets and see how they sound. So we've seen there just a selection of the huge range of different styles that the G-DEC comes packed with. We've got blues, rock, funk, jazz, whatever you want, it's all there. However, when you're playing, you might be into one style, not into another. The beauty of the G-DEC is that it's completely editable, it's completely customizable to what you want it to be. Now, one of the reasons we can do this is that both of the units will take an SD card. So when you get it, you might want to wipe all the metal backing tracks and fill up your SD card with 20, 30, 40 blues tunes and blues backing tracks. You might want to not do any blues at all. You might want to have all funk tunes on here. The beauty of it is, if you want it to be all country, it can be all country. All metal, it's all metal. It's also a fantastic way of learning stuff. For instance, if you want to learn a load of tunes for a band you're in, put them on your SD card, simply slot them in here, and you've got a ready-made practice session wherever you are. Okay, so we've had a look at some of the backing tracks. There's plenty to play along with there. However, both of the units, the 15 and the 30, both come with fully functional looper. We've got about 2.5 minutes recording time low res and about 34 seconds high res. Looping's great because if you want to play over a particular chord or a chord progression, you can actually make a bespoke loop to do exactly that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to set up a little loop, show you how easy it is using the foot pedal to create our loops and overdub and then practice over the top of it. So I've got my loop, I can now practice play over the top. I can also overdub. Okay, so that's the looping facility. Fantastic for practicing. As I say, if you're not very good at playing over minor 7 chords or 7 sharp 9 chords, record a little loop with those and away you go. And it's endless. You can overdub as many times as you want. It's also worth remembering that if you create a loop that you really like, you can save it either to the memory of the G-DEC or to the SD card to recall at any time you want to practice over. Okay, so now I'm just going to very quickly run you through the front panel of the G-DEC. It's the same for the 15 and the 30, just to show you what all the controls do. On the left-hand side here, we have our input, obviously where your guitar goes in. It's worth noting there is a second input around the back as well for a second guitar. Guitar tone, which gives you the overall tone of the guitar. Take a little bit of top end off if it's a little bit too bright. Here we have tap tempo, and also if you hold it down, it gives you the tuner function. This will start and stop your backing track. Quick access will allow you to access 3 of your favourite sounds or 3 of your favourite backing tracks. Underneath that here, we have the looping functions, which we've looked at also on the foot switch. And this obviously is the main display, which does various different things depending on what you're working on and what you're editing. For instance, if I press amp, it brings me to the amp menu, and I can then flick through here, and it gives you a selection of all the different amps that are on board. A save switch, which is self-explanatory, as is exit. And then we have a band level and an overall volume control, which is very important because that allows you to mix the volume of the backing tracks with the guitar sound that's coming out. Okay, and then finally, over this side, we have the USB socket, which again we'll talk about in a little bit with the software that's bundled with it. That's your phone's output there and the SD card slot. Very, very simple to use, very intuitive. So let's have a look at the Alt-4 foot switch, optional foot switch that's available for the G-DEC 315 and the 330. It's a 3-mode foot switch. The first one allows you to access your quick access presets. And in this mode, if we hold the first one down, it puts us into tuner mode. So when you're on stage or you're practicing, you can always get straight to the tuner. And it will tell you which string you're tuning, and the light will go green when it's in tune. The second level, mode 2, allows you to trip up and down through the presets and the band tracks and start them and stop them. And then finally in mode 3, which we looked at earlier, it gives you access to all the looping functions. And that is the optional Alt-4 foot switch for the G-DEC 3. So we've had a good look at all the new features of the G-DEC 315 and the G-DEC 330. We've looked at the amp modelling. You've heard how good the backing tracks sound. All different styles, rock, jazz, funk, blues, metal, whatever you want. We saw with the SD card, so you can configure the amp to be an all-country amp or an all-rock amp. You can put your backing tracks on it and practice. We have the USB port, which allows you to connect to the Fender Fuse software and to the Fender Fuse website as well, and that will allow you to upload and download presets and backing tracks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on and have a run through of the Fender Fuse software. So let's have a very quick run through of the Fender Fuse software that comes bundled with the G-DEC 3. In the top left hand corner, this is where we can create, move about and save our presets, our actual guitar sounds. We could save them to the computer, we can save them to the SD card, we could save them to the G-DEC itself. We can create presets, we have our amp modelling. Down the bottom we have our stomp boxes, delays, modulation, reverb. These can also be put in a loop. And then very simply, when we've made one that we like, we simply press save and it allows us to save it. At the top, in the middle, we can control the looping functions of the G-DEC. 2.5 minutes low res, about 34 seconds high res, with as many overdumps as you want. And then on the right hand side, we have the media library. So depending on what we have highlighted, we can search for MP3s saved either in the amp, on the SD card, or on the computer that you're using. On the far right, we have the tuner. Always got to be in tune. Fully functional chromatic rack tuner. And then last, but by no means at the bottom, if we press Community, it will take you right through to the Fender Fuse community website, where you can upload presets, you can download presets, you can upload backing tracks, you can download plenty of backing tracks. The more often you go back, the more tracks and the more presets there will be. So that's a very quick overview of the Fender Fuse software.